I'd like to share with you a couple of thoughts about the next presenter. I know that you have met him. I know some of you met him today for the first time, and I know that many of us know him for a little bit longer. But before I speak about him, I will speak and address you about the importance of the institution that he is heading, Hellenic College and Holy Cross in Brookline, Massachusetts. My brother priests and my fellow bishop know about the parish place because they have spent some of their formative years, most of them, in that institution. Let me correct myself. It's not an institution, it's a sacred space where people's lives change. And those who are at the helm of that institution, that sacred space, have also not simply become appointed or elected, but they have been consecrated their lives and the lives of their families to do the work of God through toiling the young men and women who go to that school and to give them the opportunity to become useful and wonderful members of the society, either ordained or non-ordained. It is a place that most of us know it in many different ways. And those who are leading the school in various times throughout its history have left their own indelible mark upon them. The person who will address you this afternoon and talk to you about the school is the current president of Hellenic College and Holy Cross, Mr. George Cantonis. Fortune have it, luck has it, blessing had it, that when he became the president of that sacred space back in 2019, at the time that I think the announcement was not yet made of his appointment as the president, he was with us. It was his first greeting to any kind of congregation, gathering of faithful in his career as the president of Hellenic College and Holy Cross. Before I ask him to come and address you, because I have a personal relationship with George, I happen to know his family a little bit closer through my own ministry as a deacon of the Archdiocese. And his family has been stalwart supporters of the Archdiocese for many, many years. George was a young man when I met him, very young, although he says to me I wasn't that young, but he was. And I never thought that he will come to the point that he will take the lead to do that. God has his own way of showing us where we're going to go and what is going to happen in our lives. It's with these kinds of sentiments of a very brotherly love that I'm expressing to George Cantonis today, that I'm asking him to come and give you a brief review of what is going on at the school, yet very profound one, and to share with you some personal news as well. George?
God also has a sense of humor, obviously, on top of everything else. I got to gather myself a minute. He doesn't remember how young he was. And I think that one of the reasons that Archbishop Yakovos enjoyed, my family was in Tarpon Springs. The archbishops would stay at a resort condominium we had. And the deal, quote unquote, was that, okay, you can spend a week, 2 weeks at Innisbrook, which is where this was held, But the quid pro quo was you had to have dinner one night at our house, okay? And my mother and father obviously would host it. They were very close to His Eminence. And I think that both my father, who was an immigrant, never went to college, and for whom education obviously was particularly important, and His Eminence really enjoyed the verbal battle that occurred between Princeton, my alma mater, and Yale. And, we had great fun, developed a relationship really from back then. And one of the blessings that I've had in terms of the time that I've spent at the school is being able to develop these relationships many, many years later. And that's one of the things we need to begin with, I think, and that's change. That's the nature of the world. That's particularly the nature of higher education, of the teaching of faith, not of our faith, of the pastoral needs of our faithful. Change is what we need to be more comfortable with if we will not only survive but thrive as a faith in this culture today, which is a culture of no truth and no faith. And so with this, let's address the gorilla in the room, which is the fact that I've submitted my resignation. And I've submitted that resignation so that we can kind of clear the decks. Most of us here are Greeks, and scandal is just a terrific thing. And so to clear the decks, I want you to know I've passed the test of scandal. Kalmukos just printed the press release, nothing else, okay? Which is nothing short of miraculous. Yeah. Call me, okay, and so I thank God for every day. It's not about the Archbishop. It's not about the Board of Trustees. It's not about anything that's worthy of scandal. It's about the fact that I'm 75 years old last month, and that the pace and the stress of this position is just one that my doctor tells me that a little bit past Iakovos and Bishop, Gennadios could be me if I don't do something about the pace. And really, I'm not, I really love the faith, but my wife is already at the end of a rope. And to have me, succumb to this is a little bit too much. There is going to be a replacement that will end up being found. That process hopefully will start sooner rather than later. But more importantly, I think it needs to be remembered that this is not my school. It's our school. And a replacement, a capable one, will be found, and that person will be different from me because the needs of the school are different now. We've accomplished a lot. We've come a long way. And frankly, the time was going to come within a shorter period of time, where the skill set of that individual who needed to be that next person was going to be different. The fires are out. The trajectory, the positive trajectory is there. But never forget, it's our school. It's your school. And I was in Greece a year ago, not last summer, the summer before. We're still dealing with issues. We're still dealing with accreditation issues, etc. And I was out to dinner with a priest who I've come to really love and respect, who'll go unnamed, and his lovely wife. And Maria and I are together, and I'm venting. And I really can vent, trust me. And I'm a Cantonis in that way. And, I finished. And he was really very helpful in helping me put this in perspective. And he made a final point, and that was, George, remember something. The faith in the United States will get the school it deserves. Think about that. It will get the school it deserves. And if there's any impression that I hope to leave, it's the fact that that is absolutely critically important. In the same way that our hierarchs, our leaders, etc., they can only do so much. They're representative of Christ and the holy apostles, but it's about us. It's about our accepting responsibility. It's about our helping our faith progress. Now I'm going to take you through a little drill. And you may think this is really not, I don't know how you're going to react to it. I did this with the last clergy lady, and it was kind of interesting. Would all the clergy and ordained deacons in the room please stand? Whoa, don't sit down. Don't anybody sit down yet. I got to make a point here, okay? Would all of you who received your MDiv or received degrees from Holy Cross please sit down? Okay. This is not to cite you all as who are remaining standing. It said, thank you very much for your work and for your contribution and service. Thank you. That is the difference that Holy Cross makes to our faith. How many were standing before? How many were standing at the end? That is Holy Cross. That is Hellenic College. And I'm going to shoot the person who packed my stuff and ended up doing this off my phone rather than my iPad. So you're going to excuse me as this keeps shifting on me at the end of the day. That's the impact of our school, okay? Today. Not necessarily tomorrow. What about tomorrow? Second priests are disappearing. Smaller parishes are being shut down due to a lack of adequate clergy. The future is Hellenic College Holy Cross. But it's not only numbers of clergy we produce. It's about Orthodox study and research, canon law, liturgics, church and Byzantine history, the church fathers upon whom much is still being discovered and written, the study of faith and culture in a climate where there is no truth, in a climate where tradition, by definition, is frowned upon, where Hellenism is seen by many as loukoumades in Greek dancing, and not the philosophical and language underpinning of not only Orthodoxy, but of all Christianity. Father Georges Florovsky, the noted 20th century Russian theologian, with whom I had the blessed opportunity to study with for a semester when he was, we eat our own, when he was terminated from Holy Cross and ended up at Princeton. Again, we are who we are. He made the observation in one of his books that to truly be an Orthodox, one first had to be a Hellene. A Hellene. He didn't mean Gyros. Hellenic College is where a young person can go to achieve their degrees in a number of fields while having the opportunity to broaden and deepen their faith in an Orthodox environment. And if we don't offer the courses they need, they can take the courses at Boston College at no additional cost. Reminder, Boston College tuition is over $60,000 a year. Our tuition is $21,000. At Holy Cross, we train and prepare not only clergy, but lay people who either go on to their PhDs, teach, become deacons, or become chaplains. Our faculty host and travel to seminars, symposia. They do research, they publish. We've now put 2 master's degrees online for those who wish to achieve their education but cannot travel or live away from home. That does not include the MDiv. The MDiv will stay until our hierarchs tell us otherwise. The MDiv will stay a resident degree. We're putting undergraduate courses online for credit so our young people attending other colleges can take courses from us. As an undergraduate, you can attend for full credit Semester of Faith, tuition free for 1 semester, to see the school if it's a fit for you, or to simply take a semester and courses that further your understanding of your faith and of your culture. As a graduate student, since we're members of the BTI, you can take courses at Harvard, your Boston College, or the Jewish seminary if you choose, at no charge. Our accreditation review, the normal standard review all colleges go through, is completed with stellar reports, a 10-year affirmation. We were on probation 2 years ago. When the president of NECHI got the report, he called me. I had been to more meetings than he'd been to because he was brand new. He called me as a courtesy, and he said to me, "George, this report is amazing." Now, these people choose their words very, very carefully. And I'm a little stunned. And then I don't say anything. And after a pause, he said, quote, "We never expected anything like this from Hellenic College, Holy Cross." In 2 years. Okay. But our remaining challenges are not insignificant. Although student satisfaction, governance, strategic planning, academic monitoring, and financial controls met or exceeded standards, enrollment and continuing finance are legitimately still a problem. As far as enrollment is concerned, we were barely 100 2 years ago. We're 124 this spring. We project over 150 for the fall. At this rate, we expect to be at 200 in residence in 2 years. That would basically be the largest cohort that the school has had in decades. But that's not enough. 200 in residence is not enough. We need another 100 online full-time equivalents. Our applications to the School of Theology are up 120%. At the college, applications are up 50%. In that increase, we actually have 10 applications for 2024. That's never happened in the history of the school. Now, you would think that that percentage increase would result in a higher increase in the total student body. Unfortunately, 1/3 of our student body is graduating. 1/3, COVID bubble. Okay? So to show the 20% increase, we've got to make up for the 1/3 that we're losing, and we'll do it. But in the end, it's about clergy. Our applications for seminarian status at the School of Theology are double of what they were last year. It's small numbers still. It was 10. It's this time around, it's 20. We need to be 25 to 30 because all of them will not graduate and get ordained immediately. Some will take a few years, some will take 5, some will take 10. We felt we needed a targeted effort of encouraging young men to pursue the thoughts of the priesthood. There was really, you don't recruit a priest. This isn't a basketball team, okay? Clergy develop over a period of time. And the contact initially that they have is hopefully with their parish priests. So one of our younger new employees, Father Patrick O'Rourke, came up with the idea that he and I further developed of an event called Be Attentive. And the idea behind Be Attentive was to go ahead through Proestamini, encourage them to encourage young men with whom they'd started discussions about the priesthood, and then take it to the next step and invite them to campus for 3 or 4 days with 6 experienced Proestamini. Not faculty, not admissions committee. Wasn't about the school. It was about the decisions that needed to be made, reflecting on what being a clergyman is all about. Be attentive. If you would go ahead. This is a tape that was done after the close of Be Attentive.
You're here because in some way, shape, or form, God is speaking through you and to you in some level to serve the church. And I'd simply, as the Bible says, be still and know that I'm God, I would just simply be still.
And so we just don't know. We try to, as best as we can, prepare ourselves and try not to be as broken as we tend to be. right? But to present ourselves and just say, I don't know which way you want to send me. Just send me.
I'm going to move away from this. And God called me right back to it. And there are times in our lives where we might do that. And perhaps that is God giving us the grace and the freedom we need to mature into actually responding appropriately to the call.
A calling is not determined by age. And you should never fear serving our Lord, serving His church because of your age.
And I think one of the things that the seminary provides is it creates for you a village that you're going to be able to lean on as you're journeying through this, because in the highs and the lows, you have to have people that will journey along with you.
There are so many various ways to serve Christ in this church, and serving within the priesthood isn't the only way. Personally, when I come home, I'm going to want to explore a lot of these options.
However we're uniquely wired, we are to be a loving and beautiful and peaceful presence.
I really enjoyed the different backgrounds of all the different priests that were presenting. It was nice to see the universal faith represented in all these different backgrounds.
The topics were informative, they were relevant, and they were inspiring. I would highly recommend to any who were interested in pursuing the priesthood as a vocation to attend the Be Attentive seminar.
There's so much more that I need to discover, and this definitely opened my eyes to be better prepared when I do finally return.
I wasn't entirely sure what to expect coming in here because I already thought that my path was leading toward the seminary. But in coming here, speaking with the priests and others, it really helped me identify areas in my life which I need to be more attentive, areas in my life that I need to improve in before I can ever succeed in seminary.
It's about outreach. It's about outreach. It's about transitioning the culture and the perspective and the strategies away from maintenance and to mission. It's about focusing our training on not only the 4 S's of liturgical service. You won't find the 4 S's in a textbook. I invented it, so get over it. There are 4 S's to the liturgy as I really see it at the end of the day. They are sight, scent, and sound, which all of our liturgies fulfill. What all of them necessarily don't fulfill is the 4th S, which is substance. Do our seminarians get that? Are our seminarians prepared to deal with that? Are we interacting with the clergy that are out there in a way that we can be a source of continuing education for them? That's what we have to look forward to if we're not going to just help our faith survive, because that's not the goal. That should never be the goal. It's to have our faith thrive. Yes, we need higher enrollment, and yes, we need to focus on our seminarians, but until we get there from here, fundraising is absolutely critical. We should be generating about 50 to 55% of our operating needs from tuition. Okay? We get to 200 and 100, we will be able to do that. In the meantime, the kind of fundraising that we've had to do for the last several years, we're going to need to continue to do. It's difficult. And it's been more difficult now than any time in the last 4 years. We have St. Nicholas, the pension plans, the Patriarchal Fund, St. Nicholas Home, the disasters in the Eastern Mediterranean, the Ukraine, the efforts in Mexico, your own metropolis needs, your own church needs. Let's be frank, the list didn't end there. It goes beyond that. We're competing with those charitable dollars. But in spite of that, in the last 3 years, we've reduced our debt from over $20 million to under $5 million. In spite of that, we've gone from losing $2 million per year for the several years prior to 2019 to positively cash flowing for this, our 4th year, which isn't done yet. We're still in the last quarter, and let's be serious and honest about it. I'm here to help raise some money too. And I'm going from here to LA, and from LA back to San Francisco, and from San Francisco to Portland, and from Portland then back to campus. And then going on to Chicago the next week, and on and on and on, because that is simply what we need to do, because this institution is effectively, for the business people in the group, an undercapitalized turnaround situation. That's what it is. And we had to get rid of the debt first, and we've got to be able to pay our bills on an annual basis. And then hopefully in 2 years, when we can get the numbers that we need to get, at that point we can turn and start building the endowment. But we've got to take one step at a time. Nobody likes to give money to pay the bills. Nobody does, okay? In this instance, it's an investment. It's an investment to get us to the point we're on the trajectory. We can show the audited financial statements. We can show what's happening academically. We can show what's happening with enrollment. But we have a special opportunity. We've been presented with a $1 million matching grant. I'm $400,000 shy of that. We need these funds to get through the 4th quarter. It'll be the 4th financial year in a row with, don't anybody tell the Archdiocese, okay? With maybe a little bit in the cupboard to help us through the 1st quarter of the following year, but shh. Excellence is what our faith requires of us. Excellence is what HCH is required of HCHC. I don't know how seriously it took that in the past. I can tell you that that is its presence and that is its future. In order to get there, we cannot do it alone. The board can't do it alone. The hierarchs cannot do it alone. In order to be as successful as we need to be, we need everyone on board. We're only halfway to where we need to be. The goal line is always moving, but even to that initial goal line, we're only halfway there. I'll repeat this one last time. That school is the future of our faith writ large. Time is not on our side, be clear. There's a culture out there that is eating us up alive. If we don't take aggressive action, and if we don't make the commitments that we need to make, our churches will become museums in the coming decade. HCHC is committed to not let that happen. We need your help in order to help keep that from happening. Thank you.